Well, good morning folks, we're on the way to WILMSLOW, and I just thought, seeing as we're passing through Burnage, I'd make a homage to the Gallagher brothers who were brought up here and just say happy surge pricing. See you at the other end. Well, we've arrived in WILMSLOW. A little bit of a stop-start journey by northern trains all over the place. Little delays that cumulatively add up to a big delay, but still, that's modern railways for you. Well, as we start our great WILMSLOW adventure, WILMSLOW Leisure Centre right opposite the station, it's nice to see that as we walk towards the town, it's only a short walk from the station. All very encouraging. Now, can I just please, just a little bit of advice. Don't come too near to your screen, because unless you're wearing a mask, that is, because the smell of money will overcome you, so be very careful. Well, I'm just glad that sign is pointing in the right direction. Oh, never mind. As you can see here in WILMSLOW, we don't have ordinary piccolinos. We have piccolino grands, no less. Maybe there should be an accent over the E, so it's grande, but what do I know? And here we are as we walk down towards the centre of the town. Woman, of course, on her phone in her car. And if you want to do a bit of swanning, well, why not swan in? And a nice traditional looking inn it is, if I may say so. Trusting my memory as we come down from the Swan Inn, as you can see in the centre there is the main pedestrianised area, and here we have the lower part of the town where, for those who need to be, they can be monked. It would very much appear that Bank Chambers is potentially, I suppose, a little bit of its former self-state somewhat. This, however, is somewhat interesting, with a very nice clock tower, and the clock is actually correct, and some little balustrading and more on the roof besides. Oh, just look at that delicious homemade type bread in the window. You'll get one of those on the way home, methinks. Now, I'm not in any way being WILMSLOWist, but don't you just love to see this parked outside WILMSLOW, illegally on double yellow lines? Isn't that lovely? But then, of course, if you can own such an expensive car, it means you can easily pay for a parking ticket instead of a proper parking space. Saves you walking. This is not just any old Waitrose. This is a WILMSLOW Waitrose. And I've just spied a blue plate. Let's go and be nosy. Ah, it seems the drill hall for the territorials in 1914, where people enlisted. This is the very site. I'm sorry, don't you just love a proper Waitrose store? Ah, one of my heroes from my youth, the wonderful, multi-talented and incredible Roy Castle. I spied this from the top of the town, St. Bartholomew's, the WILMSLOW Parish Church, and it just looks so lovely. I thought I'd have to come and have a quick look. Not going to go inside because time won't permit it, but what a lovely, delightful old parish church. How beautiful. It also has, as I was explained to in Stockport by a historian, these sort of gravestones that sadly you're walking on the dead to get into the church, but they were put here because they used to bury people one on top of the other because they hadn't got money to be buried. And just have a quick look at the date if we can. 1856 on that one. And here's one, he died in 1742, aged 21 years. And just opposite the church, a lovely little memorial garden. Again, just to apologise to everybody for being so judgmental that WILMSLOW might be a somewhat wealthy area. They might say in Bolton, it's Chafes Hague and Lambert. Right, enough prittle prattle tittle tattle. Let's head on up to the town centre. Well, let's be honest, it would be a bit silly to call it the uncomfy group. Not wishing to be too critical, but if they called it French phone fix, it would be a bit ridiculous. Well, it appears this branch has closed. Yeah, you'd never think so, would you, by the welcoming come in, oh, never mind. And just up the street from the closed NatWest, the Halifax has just recently bitten the dust. And here we are wandering up the lower end of the pedestrianised area of WILMSLOW. Lovely little cafes, people sitting outside enjoying a nice relaxing drink, and everywhere seems to be dog friendly, which is lovely. And I promise, no, I am just going to ignore the mucky pup on the left. I just pay no attention to it. I wonder, is Steve any relation to Bill and Ben, the flower pot men? Flubba-dubba-dubba-dub. Just a quick look up to notice that some of the remnants of the original architecture from all those years ago. Sadly, even in an upmarket town like WILMSLOW in glorious Cheshire, you do get homeless people. And we'll continue upwards. Onwards and forwards, should I say. There's a nice grand cafe. I wonder if we got a granda cafe anyway further up along the street. And a closer inspection of Grand's Cafe reveals quite mouth-watering, while at the same time eye-watering prices for 2 bits of bread with something in between it. And the Grove Arcade seems to be a little bit, well, yes, And even in a lovely place like WILMSLOW, where we've got the Unico Lounge and the Aura Bar with all its lovely greenery, which I suspect is false, it's got to be ruined by a thing like this. Just look at this carbuncle. Ruining the entry area to the lovely pedestrianised part of the town. I wouldn't mind, but the clock on this carbuncle isn't even right. Motorcycle man here is very interesting, unless he's making a statement that his motorbike wouldn't go. Oh, okay, never mind. And here we have a slightly Art Deco-y, bus in the way, Art Deco-y style cinema, the Rex. And that is just on this little crescent and one of the main thoroughfares in and out of the town. This, I believe, has been the star of screen and stage in one of the upmarket Cheshire pawnbroking programs on television. A little bit of Tudor-style pretense next to some of the carbuncles. And this seems to be an area for little eateries. An electric bike shop, of course. Easy to pay for them in this area. Casa Italia and Plant and Blends. Sofas for life, so if you buy one that's uncomfortable, you're stuck with it for life. Isn't it funny how in these areas within towns, birds of a feather flock together? These birds are, of course, estate agency birds. Buy and fly, I suppose you could say. And it's nice to see on this little crescent off the main road that there are lots of still independent, well, there's just one exception on this little place, independent retailers still plying their trade. And still open is the quite well-known, not just regionally, but towards Manchester, Hooper's, which is a lovely department store. I'm not too sure if you have to jump through to get in. You know, Hooper's, hoops, jump, oh, never mind. The Bandit Brothers, now there's a good name for an estate agent. No, I'll stop picking on estate agents. The Bandit Brothers, that would be a good name for a comparison website, wouldn't it? The Bandit Brothers. And the Home Library, that's a nice attempt at a play on words. They don't sell books. And a bit of a close-up of the Rex Cinema. I think I'll stay on this side of the road just in case the Empire Strikes Back.
No doubt if Stelios Easygetius owned Xerox, he'd be in court with one of his famous copyright cases against people that do anything to do with Easy or Orange. I always thought it was Philip Patek, but who am I to question it? And this is a very, very posh upmarket and trying to look like Art Deco jewelers with the top brands therein. I have to say, unfortunately, from what I've seen, the architecture here isn't exactly awe-inspiring, but still, c'est la vie. Despite it being in sunny, well, overcast Wilmslow, poor old sweaty Betty. I think she's still sweaty here regardless. See what I mean about the architecture? Now we're on Water Lane and I've just spied smoke. So maybe they should have called it Smoke on the Water. No, alright, just an idea. Jerk Junction. I'm not too sure whether it's for people who are twits or those that have a nasty personal habit, but I won't go into any further details. At least an attempt at some sort of Neo-Georgian or whatever architecture. And there's no truth in the rumour that Unagi was started by a group of disgruntled mother-in-laws. And there we are, a little bit of fake Tudory stuff going on. Now I confess I have eaten at Carmelo's a couple of times in the dim and distant past, and it has to be possibly one of the cruelest views in the country. Right opposite an Aston Martin dealership. How cruel can they be? Yes, £155,000, £139,000, and a mere £97,000 respectively. I have to say this one, the four-door one, does look nice. Ah, the Caring Sharing Co-op. I wonder what they're boycotting today. Must go in and ask them about Paul Crystal Meth Flowers, how he's doing with the 100 grand he nicked as the former banking executive of Co-op Bank from one of his friends. He's doing a bit of stir now. And there we are, up to the top end of the town. Or it could be the bottom end, depending on what you think as a resident. As I mentioned before, it's lovely to see all these independent traders, none related to trotters of Peckham, still open for business. A very worldly place. We've got e-cig world and Incantona world. Well, I wonder if they sell globes. One of the few vacant places I've seen in the town so far. Oh, a Japanese restaurant and bar. Walk-ins welcome. Let's have a quick look at the menu. Oh, interesting. They even have a Wilmslow roll, whatever that might be. I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me correctly, this was a large Italian restaurant at one stage, because I'm pretty sure we had a meal there, because I remember the much easier parking that was obtainable by just chucking the car up here. And this is called Little Lindo, with a little play park for the kids. Now, the significance of this sort of lift and whatever it is, machinery, being next to a Pilates, massage, yoga and gym, is the idea being that you go in as a complete Teletubby and then come out as a Matchstick and Matchstalk man. I don't know. Just had to wander down here for a nosy. This is a lovely little street just off the main Water Lane. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful little cottage style houses. And here's somebody making a rod for their own back by keeping their bushes trimmed. Can I say that? Yeah, let YouTube sort that comment out. Now, I have no idea where this leads to, but it's just so charming. It really is very Cheshire-ish. Shall I chance it and walk down to the bottom and then find there's nothing there? Go on, we'll give it a go. Britain well and truly in bloom. Lovely colours. Oh, it just leads to a very nice residential area. Again, as I mentioned, not far off the main centre of the town. To say we're off the main busy highway, the main road. I'm not too sure which one it is, whether it's the A56 or otherwise, but all you can hear are the birds twittering, even though at the bottom of the road, cars one after the other passing by. How lovely. As I'm walking along, I get this real peculiar nagging feeling, to be quite honest with you all, for a cup of tea and a sandwich. Nice to see a lady in a Chelsea tractor on her phone. Very nice to see. And these people on their phones in their large 2-ton cars have no concept that the rules apply equally to them as it does to anybody else on the road. I do have to remark that despite all the takeaway places and eating places, there is a wonderfully conspicuous lack of litter on the ground. I suppose it's just the cost of fuel is too expensive for people from surrounding towns to come here just to chuck their McDonald's and KFC rubbish into the street from their car windows. I don't know if that's just me, but I'm not too sure I'd want to pay £1,200 to have this 4 foot to 5 foot high thing on my wall. Oh, another twee little statement. Turning spaces into stories. Oh, I wish they'd give it a rest. Rumpus Resort. Why not just call it Benidorm and be done with? Forbes for the upside down man in your life. Seeing this shop Mobitex and all the lovely phones in the window has reminded me of something. Something I'm reminded of is something I think I read. I'm nearly sure I read it very recently, that LG, that's Life's Good, they no longer are making mobile phones. So the last, or whatever it is, update for the system is now. So if you have an LG phone, that's it, I'm afraid. I don't believe you're getting any more support. This could cause arguments with the Vodafone and 3 merger. Oh, there's some fans in store. I wonder, are there any of those awful super, oh God, they use super in front of everything, super fans for like Taylor Swift, like, kind of like, if you like, know what I like mean. Well, discovered a social club and a Crown bowling green that, well, looks a little bit the worse for wear in my humble opinion. I only say my humble opinion because I was dragged off locally to our local Crown Bowling Club green, which is actually quite lovely, asking if I'd care to be a member. I don't think they'd accept me with my range of suitably unpolitically correct t-shirts about people of my age group. I just hope a JCB driver or a Calagas lorry doesn't confuse the colour of this car with where they're meant to be going. I wonder, is this the smallest park de parasitism in the country? Run by NCP, just 3 spaces. You couldn't make it up, could you? You probably can't hear me walking on these, but these bricks are all fairly loose. And I think, without being too disparaging about certain areas in the country, I'd imagine someone with a white van could come along in other towns, were these placed in other towns, and then they'd suddenly be somebody's lovely old back garden patio. All free and for nothing for the sake of a trip to WILMSLOW. Not that I'm encouraging it, please don't think I am. The works. I wonder, could the internet and mobile phone generation kids actually cope with doing some of these things like colour by numbers and make your own jigsaws and painting and stuff like that? At least they're trying the works. Fair dues to them. And next door to the works, yes, treasure it. These are soon going to be a disappearing or disappeared thing. One assumes that M1 nails give you that va-va-va-va-boom, plus added traffic jams. Oh, thank goodness for that. I was beginning to think nobody had a silly sign. They're doing a bit of a de-ream, so presumably things can only get better. Gosh, now I find this out. We have awful trouble with moles in the grass area across the road from us at home. Yippee, and another one. Crust with a K. I'm being spoilt now. I'm a bit confused now because when I was in Clitheroe, Küchenhaus was the name of a little restaurant. Maybe this is a DIY store. Make it yourself. I have to be honest, I've never had a problem with the Browns franchise or group or whatever it might be called, but it seems here you have to be authorized. Get your authorization now and then you can visit Browns. It's lovely that the original station house here at Wilmslow has been turned into a little sort of pub and restauranty type of thingy. Very nice. Well, thank you all very much for joining me on my little ramble to Wilmslow. Sorry it's not been as effusive as it might have been. No reflection on the town, it's just there's not an awful lot to see. So hopefully next video we'll cram it with all sorts of stuff, including plenty of architecture and a nice urine take of some of the silly signs that people put above their shops. So until next time, take care, look after yourself. Thanks for watching.